Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
That breaking news takes us to key rulings. The U.S. Supreme Court wraps up the current term with rulings on birthright citizenship, transgender athletes, and campaign finance rules. We have a breakdown of the decision straight ahead.
Holiday heat wave, extreme heat returns to the forecast for 4th of July in the Triangle. I'll walk you through how hot it gets.
History-making budget deal, the largest spending plan in state history, now posted online. What's in it and what's out?
Nearly 60 million Americans are at risk for extreme heat during the 4th of July holiday, including us here in the Triangle. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laura Levine, and for Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levigan. Thank you so much for joining us. And our holiday heat, it's something we've been watching very closely here on WRAL.
Yes.
And actually, the heat wave really begins tomorrow. This is why we have meteorologist Kat Campbell kind of breaking down when the heat is expected to peak, but triple digits this week.
A lot of triple digits. We've got 5 days in a row where we expect the temperatures, not even the heat index, but the actual temperature to soar to at least 100. Tomorrow, 98 degrees. Not quite to the record high tomorrow, but we should tie a record Thursday at 101. Friday, 103. We should break a record Friday and Saturday as well for 4th of July. It is going to be a sizzling hot holiday weekend. And right now, we have the extreme heat warning in pink and the heat advisory in orange here, centered in areas just to our west. We would expect to probably be placed under a heat advisory either tomorrow or definitely by Thursday, and then I would expect that extreme heat warning, which is pretty rare in our area, by Friday and Saturday. We only average 1 to 2 of those per year. Here's the reason why. We've got our heat dome shifting to the east, and it's going to set up right over top of North Carolina. And what you see with this is a ridge of high pressure, and beneath it you have sinking air. So it really does create kind of this dome shape. It's invisible, of course, and that's what allows temperatures to climb, but it also helps to prevent rain from forming. So it is going to be hot, and it is going to be mostly dry. We do have very small storm chances Thursday and next Monday. 5 days in a row in the triple digits expected. The all-time record is 6. We're going to have a closer look at the heat index forecast and which days we could see the numbers get closer to 110 coming up.
Bragging about. Okay, thanks, Kat. And folks, be prepared for the extreme heat with the WRAL weather app. You can make sure to turn on push notifications, and that way you can get important weather alerts sent right to your phone.
All right, let's get to the breaking news right now this noon. North Carolina lawmakers have officially unveiled their new plan, but we have other news in the Supreme Court ruling. Let's get to that first. Starting with this, the Supreme Court has rejected President Trump's attempt to deny automatic citizenship to children of undocumented migrants born in the U.S. President Trump signed an executive order on the first day of his second term that would have ended the policy. Justices voted 6-3 opinion in favor of birthright citizenship, with Justice Chief John Roberts writing for the court's majority. The U.S. is one of about 30 countries that grant automatic citizenship to anyone born within its borders. Now, in a win for Republicans, the Supreme Court struck down campaign finance restrictions. The High Court said it violated free speech rights. And in a separate ruling, the court ruled that states can bar transgender women and girls from competing on female sports teams.
I'm Destiny Patterson here in the WRAL Live Center. In terms of that birthright citizenship ruling here, we are getting reaction from the Attorney General, Jeff Jackson. He posted this statement on the DOJ's website. It says, in part, this executive order is a straightforward violation of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to all people born on U.S. soil. Of course, the 14th Amendment was enacted after the Civil War to ensure everyone, including former slaves, would have rights. Now, Clarence Thomas, he wrote a dissenting opinion saying that black people had no other homeland or allegiance in terms of birthright citizenship.
Yeah, we know that many people in the lower courts also said that it was blatantly unconstitutional, but of course we'll be watching a little bit more about the fallout regarding that ruling. Thank you, Destiny. We're also following breaking news as North Carolina lawmakers have officially unveiled their new agreed-upon state budget proposal. Most state employees are expected to see 3% raises, teachers about 8%, and public safety workers between 10 and 17%, give or take. WRAL state government reporter Caroline Yaffa, she has been following this very closely at the state legislature for it. And Caroline, state employees likely will enjoy hearing this news, but when can they expect to see that money in their bank accounts?
Chris, that's a very important question because with this budget unveiled, again, here are the first 6 pages in my hand right now here at the legislature. The process now shifts to votes. But for tens of thousands of people who work for the state, the question now, again, is timing. So with this budget now unveiled, state employees, for the most part, will see a 3% raise reflected in their paychecks by the end of July. Teachers and public safety workers would see their increases roll out on the same timeline once that budget is finalized and then implemented. All will also get bonuses as much as $1,700. Those would likely hit bank accounts later in the year, between mid and late October. But the bigger question now is whether Governor Josh Stein will actually sign off on this proposed plan. WRAL asked him earlier today what could lead him to sign the bill or veto it.
We're going to be reviewing it incredibly closely in the coming days. What we want is for the state to pass a budget that invests in our people.
Stein wanted to see a budget with higher raises instead of continued tax cuts. He also will have 10 days to sign it, veto it, or allow it to become law without his signature. But that budget clock won't start unless the House and Senate vote to pass it into law. And Democrats have been urging Republicans with this timer at the state legislature, leaning on them to pass a budget, reminding them how long it has taken to get to this point. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the proposal this week, meaning raises for state employees could soon be officially locked in. Caroline Yaffa, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
That timer really puts a perspective on things. Thank you, Caroline. State lawmakers could remove taxes on certain products, including tampons, diapers, and even baby wipes. They gave preliminary approval this morning to a bill that would do this. Taxes on those products generate an estimated $50 million for the state. And bill sponsor Mike Sheets-Zelt, a Wake County Republican, wants to lift the burden on women and families. The bill still needs support, though, from the full House and Senate before going to the governor. You can read more information about that bill at WRAL.com.
Today, new efforts to lower health care costs in North Carolina now. Governor Josh Stein signed an executive order this morning creating a commission that will come up with ways to lower the price of care. WRAL's Flynn Snyder is live at a doctor's office in Raleigh. And Flynn, top state leaders say that rising costs are unsustainable.
And Laura, we heard from the head of a medical system here this morning who says that no one is happy in the current healthcare system. He says that everyone is burdened and no one is winning. This morning, Governor Josh Stein and other state leaders shared how some North Carolinians are having to put off medical bills because they're simply too high. This commission aims to address that. It's made up of the state treasurer, the DHHS secretary, and lawmakers. They're going to look at specific factors impacting healthcare costs and come up with recommendations to improve affordability. This is a bipartisan commission. Stein expressed optimism, while a Republican and doctor on the commission expects challenges.
This is a sensitive and complicated topic. This is an issue that is fundamental to our lives and well-being. And we all have our own ideas about why costs are rising so fast. But the goal of this commission is to listen to the data, do the research, and make recommendations.
The issue is going to be, it's complicated, it's difficult. There's a lot of people who have a stake in the debate. And so that's going to be the challenge, coming up with consensus or challenging assumptions that people have.
And this announcement comes as roughly 180,000 retirees on the state health plan enrolled in Medicare Advantage are expected to see higher out-of-pocket costs. The board overseeing that plan made the decision just weeks ago, citing rising medical expenses. Flynn Snyder, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Well, this weekend, fireworks shows are still on despite the hot and dry conditions in our state. And that raises the question, why is there not a burn ban in place? WRAL's Kelsey Coffey shares why officials say the fire risk is manageable, at least for now.
Despite these dry conditions, officials say now is not the time to make the call for a burn ban. Let's take you straight to Drone 5 video that shows the low water level at Falls Lake. This captures how serious this drought is. Phil Jackson with the NC Forest Service says our current conditions are different from what happened during the statewide burn ban earlier this year. Right now, we have humidity in the air. That helps plants hold moisture and makes them less likely to catch fire. Even though the fire risk is manageable now, you should still be careful.
We're still dry, fire danger is still high, but we haven't reached that hazardous category yet.
You should definitely keep fire danger in mind with those 4th of July fireworks this weekend. Officials are reminding people to keep water nearby just in case they may have to douse out any flames during an emergency. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
New at noon, people are gathering in Cary for the premiere of a documentary detailing the story of a woman whose life changed forever because of a sparkler. The documentary follows Ginger Peters, who nearly lost her life after a sparkler ignited a dress she was wearing. At today's event, state fire officials are using her story to urge fireworks safety ahead of the 4th of July holiday. Tonight on WRAL, you can hear Ginger's personal message. An American team led by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner is now sitting down with Qatari mediators. They will reportedly meet with Iranian negotiators tomorrow. And the Iranians say they will uphold their end of the bargain if the United States upholds theirs. The talks follow days of back and forth strikes between Iran and the U.S. President Donald Trump says if Iran attacks again, the U.S. will renew its air offense. But it's still unclear, though, if those threats will get Iran to give up its nuclear program.
Well, next at noon now, a deadly bus crash. What we know from investigators about what led to this collision that killed 2 people and injured many others.
Plus, massive wildfire out west. A closer look at just how severe the flames have become and what this means for the people living and visiting Colorado.
And staying cool on the job, what's being done to ensure construction workers stay hydrated and safe during this heat.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Well, we've been looking into the aftermath of the coach bus that crashed and then killed 2 people overnight. This happened in New York City on the Long Island Expressway. Investigators say just before midnight, the bus slammed into a vehicle, and that vehicle hit the one in front of it. A total of 5 vehicles were a part of this crash, and it was so serious, nearly 100 emergency response personnel were called to the scene. The 2 deaths are being reported as the person who was the driver on the bus, as well as a passenger on the bus. Police are investigating what actually led up to this crash. And more than 100 firefighters are trying to put out a massive fire at an elementary school in Milwaukee. The fire actually started early this morning. You can see right here the smoke billowing from the building. When firefighters arrived, they tried to go inside the building but decided to get out. And that's because the fire was spreading onto different floors and it became too unsafe to be inside. Video from that scene shows huge flames shooting from the roof. The smoke here you could see billowing, being able to be seen for miles. But at last check, no word on what caused this.
And Chris, 2 towns in Colorado are now under evacuation orders due to a massive wildfire. Large animals and livestock are being evacuated to the Colorado State Fairgrounds. Stage 2 fire restrictions are in effect. Fires, campfires, and stove fires are prohibited, along with smoking, fireworks, welding, and other activities that could cause a spark.
We could see flames on the west side, kind of up into the aspen tree line, just a couple flames up that way. So he hopped in the car and kind of started notifying neighbors and trying to get more of an idea of what was going on while I rallied the rest of our family.
The good news here that no injuries have been reported so far, but the cause of the wildfire remains unclear.
A record-setting heat wave is hitting the eastern half of the United States pretty hard. I mean, you know that, right? Just from living here in North Carolina. And things are not letting up, not even this weekend for the 4th of July. Here's NBC's Shaquille Brewster.
This morning, an oppressive holiday heat wave has arrived.
All right, prepare to shell out more for your July 4th celebrations. 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur shares how much you can expect to pay for the common cookout goods.
The National Retail Federation projects consumers are expected to spend on average $94.41 for 4th of July celebrations. That's a record, up $2 from last year. Here's a look at some of the most notable increases. 2 pints of strawberries are up 12.4% from last year. Hamburger buns just under 8%, and 2 pounds of ground beef up 5.5%, plus a half gallon of ice cream up 5.3%. But that's not all bad. Remember last year when we were talking about egg prices? Well, those prices are down. Same with potatoes, meaning those staple ingredients for the very yummy potato salad will cost less than 18% from last year. The survey indicates Americans are also likely spending more this year, specifically due to the World Cup and America's 250th birthday. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Teaching children to be financially responsible in today's world might involve a different conversation than you may have had maybe 15 or so years ago. Well, kids these days are having to learn how to navigate digital wallets and even gaming currencies. One app even launched a new kid advisory board. It's a way for children to help other children learn to save and invest.
Normalize money conversations in everyday things that you do. When you're at the grocery store, when you travel, give them a budget. Have them actually put their hands on it, so that they understand how it works, but also expose them to investing so they can see how fast money grows once it's working for them.
That part. Financial experts suggest turning everyday situations into money lessons. Very important. T-Mobile is kicking customers off its oldest wireless plans. The company is retiring many legacy plans from the 3G and 4G eras. That includes you customers who were grandfathered in when T-Mobile bought Sprint back in 2020. Now you're going to be moved to one of T-Mobile's current wireless plans, and those come with more features, but they also cost you more. The price for each line could increase by up to $6 per month, and the change will go into effect in the middle of next month.
Yeah, I got that email yesterday with the prices going up. All right, well, Uber and Waymo are ending their self-driving partnership in Phoenix as Uber prepares to launch a new partnership in the city. The companies began working together in 2023, with Uber adding Waymo's cars to its ride-hailing and food-delivering platforms. Waymo's vehicles are still available on the Uber app in other cities. The Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, is now the highest-grossing biopic of all time. It's ranked in at least $977 million in worldwide sales since its release in late April, surpassing 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody, which generated $911 million. Michael follows the singer from his early days in Jackson 5 through his era as the King of Pop. He's portrayed by his real-life nephew, Jafar Jackson.
All right, we are talking about that holiday heat wave, sizzling temperatures gripping the nation from the plains to the East Coast, which is why meteorologist Kat Campbell will tell us when we're going to see those triple-digit heat temperatures.
Plus, scare in the air. Not one, but 2 pilots report incidents involving drones. The latest on these alarming reports in our next half hour. And before we head to break, here are the winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Well, a heat wave developing across the eastern United States. It's going to bring daytime heat, high humidity, and stifling overnight temperatures.
Yes, prepare now. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is here with just how hot it will be in our viewing area. Kat, I know you've been tracking this for us.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just going to be a bad heat wave. There's no other way to put it. We are forecasting 5 days in a row with temperatures in the triple digits. The record is 6 days in a row in the triple digits. So let's talk about Saturday. The peak of the heat comes Friday and Saturday, and those days we're in the purple, which means extreme heat risk. You have a very high risk of heat exhaustion if you spend extended periods of time outside. The heat index forecast likely to climb between 105 and 110. These numbers are down about 2 degrees from where they were yesterday, so we'll continue to monitor that trend for you. The record heat index in the triangle was 117 degrees. That happened on July July 5th in 2024, the same day that we had 106 for the actual high temperature, and those are both all-time records in our area. I don't think we're going to break any kind of all-time records for heat index this weekend. The humidity isn't that bad with dew points in the 60s instead of 70s, so if there is a silver lining, that's it, but the heat is still going to be dangerous nevertheless.
The status of the drought is not improving much despite some of the rain that we have seen in the area. I want to give you a look at the updates that we have just gotten from Ed Buchan with the city of Raleigh. So we've gotten nearly 2 inches of rain, but the water supply is still at 64%. So you can see that we're not seeing much of an improvement there. He did also say that there have been 111 violations since Raleigh water restrictions started. They've only had just a couple in the last week. Of course, we're going to stay on top of this.
Thank you for tracking that for us, Destiny. Well, DOT construction teams who will be out in the extreme heat this week, they're going to prepare to stay safe. And WRAL's Ali Kadhabar explains why these teams could be working in temperatures that are beyond 100 degrees.
And we're already seeing crews trying to stay cool in this heat. We can see they're wearing the full Bren construction hats, also loose fitting, long sleeve cotton shirts as well to keep their body temperatures down. During the upcoming high heat, NCDOT says they encourage workers to take more breaks than usual. Crews will also be wearing cooling bandanas, and they say that sites have coolers for water, shade systems, misting fans, and heat stress response kits on hand. They have a person at each site responsible for taking care of crews' needs.
We're going to make sure our crews are seeing breaks. They're going to be encouraged to go into air conditioning and their car, in the shade, take extra breaks for water.
And if you have to work outside in the heat, make sure you take frequent breaks. Also drink plenty of water, especially electrolytes, and make sure you rest and recover. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadhabar, WRAL News.
Fireworks will be going off across our area this weekend, of course, amid hot and dry conditions. So why is there not a burn ban in place? Well, despite the dry conditions, officials say now is not the time to make that call for a burn ban. This Drone 5 video shows the low water levels at Falls Lake. Phil Jackson with the NC Forest Service says our current conditions are different from what happened during the statewide burn ban earlier this year. This time we have humidity in the air. That really helps plants hold moisture and makes them less likely to catch fire. Even though the fire risk is manageable now, you should still be very careful. So you can track the rising temperatures with the WRAL weather app. Make sure to turn on those push notifications so you can get important weather alerts sent right to your home screen.
Police in Raleigh are looking for a driver they say hit a person on a bicycle and then just drove off. That crash happened on Western Boulevard near Gorman Street last night. You're seeing right here the aftermath as the bike there is damaged. Now, the rider is expected to be okay, and Raleigh police have not released any information about a possible suspect or a vehicle description. Today, people in Person County will address Microsoft about the company's plan for a data center. A community meeting is planned today, and that is for the Piedmont Community College in Roxborough. You see, Microsoft has plans to build a data center campus on a mega site in Woodsdale Township. That's on the Virginia border. The company says it will not use traditional water-intensive cooling methods. Clean water advocates, though, are kind of skeptical about that. Today's meeting starts at 4 p.m.
Coming up at 12:30 now, a scary landing. A drone collides with a JetBlue plane as it was making its final approach to JFK in New York. How the situation sheds more light on drones flying way too close to airspace around airports.
Plus, call it a NASA rescue mission. NASA will soon attempt something it's never done before. Save a space telescope from falling back to Earth using a robot. Why this operation is so complex and why they're doing it now. Well, look at Fenton and Carrie. They're turning up over there, having a nice time here on a Tuesday afternoon. It's sunny, but it's hot. I know you're drinking some water out there today. You're going to do that because we're having triple-digit temperatures this week, folks. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Look at all those balloons. Umbrellas out there.
A lot of people having a good time right now.
Yeah.
Well, a JetBlue flight landing in New York reportedly hit a drone. And this is actually the most recent case in a series of situations in which drones were flying way too close to airports.
Yes, it follows a similar encounter on Friday at nearby Newark Airport. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin explains.
Tense moments in the nation's skies.
We collided with a drone back there in the turn.
A pilot reporting a drone struck a JetBlue flight on final approach to New York's JFK Airport.
You said you collided? Yep, it hit us right above the cockpit.
The FAA said in a statement Flight 948 from Las Vegas with more than 100 passengers and 5 crew members was about 3,000 feet in the air and 10 to 12 miles away from landing.
If we don't need any assistance, we're just going to go ahead and land.
The agency reported a post-flight inspection did not reveal any damage to the aircraft. And JetBlue tells NBC News the flight landed without incident. But just minutes later, according to air traffic control audio, another JetBlue flight reported seeing a drone flying quite close.
JetBlue 2769 just observed a drone pass to our right, slightly below us. Maybe it's a good idea not to use this arrival runway.
And hours later, a helicopter pilot reported another near miss near JFK.
Almost ran into a gigantic RC airplane. It was just an RC, one of the remote-controlled airplanes, a big one at 500 feet.
It's very difficult to make out small objects when you're moving at 300 miles an hour through the atmosphere. So it takes some investigating to validate and to verify that it was, in fact, a drone.
This all comes as a United Airlines pilot reported an alarmingly similar incident Friday at Newark Airport.
And we almost hit a drone right there. It looked like it was about 3 feet wide.
Though the FAA has previously warned drone operators to avoid flying near airports because they're difficult to see and avoid while flying, the agency says it receives more than 100 reports of drone sightings near airports each month.
All right, we have much more news coming up at 12:30. A groundbreaking mission. NASA is launching a robot into space to save a falling satellite. An inside look at the high-stakes rescue attempt.
Well, cleanup is happening in parts of South Dakota after winds up to 131 miles per hour caused significant damage in neighborhoods there. Teams are removing debris from downed trees and repairing power lines. And we know that winds were so strong, they even knocked over a wind turbine. The National Weather Service issued a rare, destructive, severe thunderstorm warning, advising residents to be on high alert for life-threatening conditions.
Well, as America continues to forge ahead in space exploration, NASA is about to launch a bold mission to save a space telescope from falling back to Earth. NBC's Tom Costello reports on the complex rescue operation and why it's so important to save it now before it's too late.
There it is, orbiting some 210 miles above the Earth, the 22-year-old Swift Observatory, but every day being pulled back down to Earth. So NASA is turning to a high-tech startup named Catalyst Space to save it.
And drop Pegasus is away.
Using a Pegasus rocket dropped from a high-flying plane over the Pacific. Inside that rocket, a robot named Link will emerge, then literally grab and push the Swift telescope away from a certain depth.
Imagine driving a car onto a moving tow truck at highway velocities. We're trying to do that over 10 times the relative scale in space.
NASA is betting on a company that has never launched anything before. Engineers designed and built their robotic rescuer in just 9 months, complete with robot arms and grippers to grab Swift and thrusters to push that multi-ton satellite.
There's not a guaranteed chance of success, but it's better to try than to do nothing.
If they don't save it by October, it will be too late. Meanwhile, NASA is preparing to launch another brand new deep space telescope this summer. The Nancy Grace Roman telescope will be a game changer. We went into the NASA clean room to see it up close before NASA shipped it to Florida. Make no mistake, this telescope is going to revolutionize our understanding of the stars because its field of view is 100 times greater than that of Hubble. So that will allow it to see thousands of planets, millions of galaxies, billions of stars that we have no idea are even out there.
This is going to be the greatest exploration asset that we've ever put into space.
Named after NASA's first chief astronomer, the Roman telescope is slated to launch in late August. But this morning, the immediate mission is to save the Swift telescope before it faces a fiery re-entry.
NBC's Tom Costello reporting. We certainly hope that they are able to grab that telescope before October, Kat.
I hope so. It's so cool
Yeah.
that they designed that in just 9 months.
Yeah, that blew me away. So hopefully they're able to have a great mission when it comes to that.
Well, we'll keep you updated. I'm interested in that, too.
Yes.
A lot of people are interested in this, though. If they're lucky enough to head to the beach, it's going to be a nice weekend to do so, especially because the Atlantic Ocean really regulates temperature. So it's not going to be as hot there as it is here locally.
They're so lucky.
You know, near 90, but that is a lot better than our 104-degree forecast on Saturday. So hopefully you can get out to the coast and cool off that way. Still, you will need to take care of yourself in the heat at the coast as well. Lots of sunscreen, water, and shade. Take some breaks in the AC, too. Carolina Beach, already busy out there today. It's beautiful. Make sure that you're always paying attention to the flags flying on the lifeguard stands. Those indicate the risk for rip currents. If it's yellow, that means there is a moderate risk of rip currents. If they are red flags, it is recommended that you do not swim at all. And that's the case today at the northern Outer Banks, where we've got a high risk for rip currents. Some of our east-facing beaches also have a moderate risk. So a reminder, please review this with your family, your friends. Everybody needs to know this information. What a rip current does, this is the beach right here. A rip current is going to sweep you away from the shoreline. It's going to sweep you away from the beach. And to get out of a rip current, there's 2 ways you can do this. Don't try to swim back to the beach. You'll either want to swim parallel to the beach so you escape the rip current by going the opposite way, or you wait and just let the rip current carry you out while you float. And then when it kind of cools off, then you can go around it and swim back to shore. Can't say that enough. Let's talk about the heat, though. We got to talk about these numbers. 101 Thursday, 103 Friday, 104 Saturday, 102 Sunday, 100 on Monday. The heat index numbers have actually come down a couple degrees today. The humidity is not going to be as bad as it can be in July. Dew point should stay in the 60s instead of the 70s. And we told you yesterday that we wouldn't be in the tropical category on the muggy meter, but that it would still feel like summer. And that really hasn't changed. At night, though, I want to mention we're not going to see much relief from the heat even overnight. And this is what makes some of these heat waves so dangerous, is that it's hard unless you have proper air conditioning for your home to really cool down overnight when the low is closer to 80 degrees. And that's what can make it so dangerous for those without proper cooling. Let's take a live look at Raleigh, the Natural Sciences Museum. Looking good today. Blue skies out there. 84 with an east wind this afternoon. Over the next 7 days, temperatures stay hot. Today, the least hot day of this stretch will be in the upper 90s to low 100s every single other day. So today is the day to do anything outside that you need to knock out, any yard work, anything like that. I'm going to get Jazzy a walk in this evening, and then we're done for the week with her walks.
Get a little kiddie pool. Listen, get a little kiddie pool for Jazzy.
I know. I feel it's her little paws. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Kat.
Well, we're talking about hitting a home run. A rare baseball card sells for $75,000. Look at them hitting the links over at Pinehurst. Hope you got some lemonade. That's a hot one out there today. Well, we are wrapping up things here today on WRAL News. Here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. For the first time in 3 years, North Carolina state lawmakers have a full budget proposal posted online, and a vote is expected this week. At more than $34 billion, it is the largest spending plan in state history. Most state employees would see a 3% raise under the plan, along with one-time bonuses based on salary. Teachers are also in line for pay increases, with larger raises targeting toward the early career educators. And then you have public safety workers who would see some of the biggest gains in this proposal. The House is expected to vote Wednesday and Thursday, and the Senate could do the same.
State lawmakers today could remove taxes on certain products, including tampons, diapers, and baby wipes. They gave preliminary approval this morning to a bill that would do this. Taxes on those products generate an estimated $50 million for the state. Bill sponsor Mike Sheetzelt, a Wake County Republican, wants to lift the burden on women and families. The bill still needs support from the full House and Senate before going to the governor's desk.
New today, North Carolina's drought, it is not improving despite recent rain, and our water reservoirs pretty low. Falls Lake got nearly 2 inches of rain in the last week, but the water supply remains the same, 64%. Falls Lake is Wake County's largest drinking water source, and many communities, including Raleigh, have enforced water restrictions. City leaders have handed out 111 violations since restrictions started, with a couple fines issued in the last week.
A 9-year-old boy from Arizona loves collecting baseball cards, and recently he hit the jackpot. In April, Mason Dean and his dad stopped by a collectible store in Phoenix. Mason picked out a box of Topps Chrome black baseball cards, which contain an autographed rookie card of Chicago White Sox player Munetaka Murakami. He is having a solid rookie season in the majors, and Mason and his dad knew that they had a valuable card in their possession, and after much debate, they decided to sell it. Well, guess what? The card fetched $75,000.
I was like, this is crazy. Never heard a card like that.
That might be the biggest card to sell in the history of the store, so it's pretty sick.
Incredible. Mason's dad said that he'll use the money for his son's college fund.
Well, Neil the Seal is back and bigger than ever. So who is Neil the Seal? I mean, you got to see for yourself, right? He's more than just an elephant seal. This 2,200-pound southern elephant seal has become something kind of an icon in Tasmania. Neil is still a young adult, but could eventually grow to more than 8,000 pounds. Like all seals, Neil spends a couple of weeks every year on land to shed his old coat and then grow a new one. But unlike other seals, Neil has been caught around town, lounging in backyards and parking lots, and even in the middle of the road. Do you pay taxes even, Neil? You just going around living off people's stuff? No, I'm kidding. Locals love him, and they describe Neil as a lovable menace.
Maybe Neil is confused that he's actually a seal. Who knows? All right, well, our pet of the day comes to us from the Wake County Animal Center. Mogi is a 4-year-old Labrador mix. He's 89 pounds and has a playful, medium energy vibe. Mogi will be a great addition to an active family. His favorite pastimes are following his nose on walks, frolicking in play groups, and taking a dip in the baby pools on hot days. When tension arose from another dog, Mogi chose to disengage, showing that he'd rather keep the peace than get into conflict. If you're interested in learning more about him, you can reach out to the volunteer matchmakers at the email address there on your screen.
All right, so look at your screen right here. Some items in your home could be part of a major recall, which is why today at 4, 5 on your side shows you the items you should stop using right away.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update comes in 30 minutes.
And as always, you can get breaking news updates anytime with the WRAL News app. But we've been talking about the dry and the hot conditions. This is why you want to make sure you have the WRAL weather app downloaded. That way we can send you notifications should things begin to change, especially that heat wave that's approaching. Hope you have a blessed day today.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.